like to take back from this session? Anyone? Expectation from this session? Yeah?
As you are a founder of Kaptive and you are an entrepreneur, so would you like to know how the mind of an entrepreneur works, actually how it deals with the things?
Okay, that's nice. So you'd like to know how entrepreneurs think? Okay, very nice question. Yeah? How the large corporations actually work. So yeah, that's a good one as well. So I have spent only 1 year as an entrepreneur, but I've spent almost close to 20 years working in a large companies like Citibank and Genpact. So I'll probably share that as well. What else?
As you said, you are only 1 year entrepreneur. How did you manage your finances?
How do I manage my finances? Okay, that's good.
So what kind of strategies have you implemented to achieve your plan?
What kind of strategies? Okay, yeah.
Key pillars of your success.
Huh?
Key
3
pillars of
pillars of success. Okay, can there be 3 or actually only? Key pillars. Okay, fine. All right. What else? Even this side is very quiet. Anything which are bothering you, what you would like to take away from this session? Share my own experience. Okay. All right.
So how courage it needs to start a startup?
How?
Courage that does it need to start a startup?
How much courage do you need to do a startup? Okay. Okay, great questions. So I think I'm here to talk to you about innovation. I'm here to, and what I was thinking is actually the following. The good thing is all your questions are pretty much in the same line. I want to share my learnings and experiences from my journey when I started off, how that has shaped up. I also want, this probably is not a question which people ask, but it's a very important, if you want to succeed today, how do you embrace the digital mindset? Yeah? How do you become, in your thinking, how you're constantly embedding digital? Because you can do your MBAs, you can learn about analytics, you can learn about marketing, you can learn about financial management. Today, when we were passing out, we were told, become a subject matter expert in finance, become a subject matter expert in marketing, and you'll be good. Today, if you're just a subject matter expert in any of these areas, it won't suffice. You have to have a dual specialization, which is a digital mindset accompanied by a subject matter expertise in either finance, marketing, HR, analytics, any of these areas. So focus on that. I'll talk a little bit about it, how you can do it. How can you make the most of your time in the college while you are studying and prepare yourself for life after MBA or PGDM in your cases, right? Working for a startup and large company, a lot of you ask me this question, so I don't have slides for this, but I'll talk about it. How to build an innovation mindset. Yeah? So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Because some of you ask me, how much courage does it take to start a startup? I think more than courage, I think it's about, first you need to have an idea. And do you have an idea which you really passionately believe in? And courage automatically comes with your passion, with your conviction. Yeah? Okay. So, I think let me just give you a little bit more context about what my company does and what we are. So, we are a business services, consulting and a digital company. We are building digital products for banks and financial services, primarily in the area of driving, measuring, monitoring, operations health, financial health. So the way to look at this is, if you are the CEO of a company and if you are running large operations and if you want to know and measure the operations health of that company or the financial health of the company, you have a lot of data, but can you convert that data into intelligent dashboards which provide you data in a digital cockpit? Yeah. So we are, for example, one of the things that we've just recently built as a digital product is, if you are the CEO of a company and if you have to go to, let's say, your board, which is your investors, and you have to present to them how my company is performing. A lot of the CEOs these days who start their own companies, they're probably techies and they don't have a very strong understanding of finance. And a lot of them, and what we are doing is we are automating the preparation of an investor package, which investor report, which these CEOs can take, and that is done at the click of a button. So we extract data from accounting systems. So in India, which is the most famous accounting system, which a lot of companies use? Tally, yeah. So in US, there's something equivalent of Tally called QuickBooks. So what our technology does is, it extracts data from QuickBooks, which is financial data, converts that data, and prepares a neatly formatted, insightful board package, leveraging artificial intelligence, leveraging like solid finance dashboards, which you can, and they don't have to do anything, it's all at the click of a button. So all we need is to look at QuickBooks, Salesforce, payroll systems, extract that data, convert, and it all happens within a span of like the CEO doesn't have to spend like 1 hour at max and the report is ready. And this could usually take maybe a week, 2 weeks of the CEO's time. So those are the kind of, there's one digital product we're building and there are other digital products like that which we are doing. So this is what we do. Let me now start with a question to all of you. So these are just some services. Hopefully, if all of you, once you pass out, if this is what excites you, you can always get in touch, and hopefully in 2 years from now we'll be a little bit more, our scale would grow. So good for you to know what we are doing. Okay, so in this batch, where would you like to be after finishing your PGDM? I put MBA there, but PGDM. You can work for a large MNC or a very well-established brand, a lot of banks, a lot of large companies. Maybe work for a startup. Maybe start your own firm. Somebody here was interested in that. And maybe there are any other options, right? So how many for option A? A large company? Okay, that's very nice. How many for option 2? Working for a startup? Okay, not too bad. That means these guys have risk appetite. How many would like to start your own firm after PGDM? Oh, nice. That's great. Very heartening to know that. Good. So yeah. So I think all options, there is no right or wrong. Any other options apart from these three? Anybody has any interesting plans apart from this? Okay, so these are the 3 main plans. Yeah. So it's good to know that a lot of you would like to join. And I think and there are no right answers. People who chose option B, option C, they're all personal choices, personal preferences. And what we'll do is, we'll talk about each of these 3 options, right? What it takes to, so if you're going to be working for a large corporate, or if you're working for a startup, what are the big differences? Huh? Anji? Startup ज़्यादा पैसे देता है, okay? और कुछ? Risk. Job security in large corporate versus a startup, correct? That's true.
Maybe there's more pressure in startups.
Maybe there's more pressure in startups, yeah.
Maybe we can learn more in startups also.
Very right. We can learn more in startups because it's a small team. You'll get to do more things, yeah. So yeah, I think any other answers? Yeah.
If you actually want to start your own startup, you actually have to work with a startup, because if you are working in a very big corporate, then maybe you will not able to know the basics.
Yeah.
But if you are working in a startup, you will know how to build your own startup.
Yeah, very right. Excellent point. What's your name?
Shivansh.
Shivanshi, good point. So yeah, I think it's all a journey, right? Like you could work for a large MNC. It will teach you what it is to work in a structured environment. It will teach you, they've already gone through the journey. They have great systems in place. They have great processes in place. They know how to scale businesses. That's why they've reached that point, right? So you can always learn all of those processes, all of those learnings about structure, systems, processes, And when you're working for a startup, obviously the experience is a lot more enriching because you get a very wide varied experience. Because we don't have a large team. We have to do, for example, I as a CEO today, there are times when I'm actually going to buy computers myself or laptops myself. And when I was at Genpact, I had an army of people who would do this for me. There was my finance team, my marketing team, my operations, HR. But today I am doing pretty much everything because we have to be light and agile on costs, right? So if you're working for a startup, you get a very wide experience. So if your risk appetite is high, but there are some people, financially they may not be that secure. So they may not have an option of, okay, I don't want to join a startup because the chances of the startup succeeding there's always a probability the startup may not go well. Yeah. But there's one advice that I got from while I was studying MBA, that spend less time on learning to market yourself. Because a good product, if inherently the product is great, right, it doesn't need marketing. A word of mouth will itself make it a successful product. Yeah. And I think that's where I think as you guys are during the course of your MBA, and if you are a product yourself, make yourself the best version of the product that you are. Yeah. You would not struggle to market yourself or to get yourself if you are excellent in the domains that I spoke about, whichever domain you choose, plus your digital mindset, if you're an expert in digital, jobs will come to you. You don't have to go looking for a job. People will, I gave a presentation and I'll tell you my own journey. When I was doing my MBA, for some reason our college didn't actually believe in campus placement. Our college didn't believe in campus placement. Our college believed that education is for life and not for a living, which meant that you're not coming here to study so that you can get a great job. You're not joining Lloyds because Lloyds promises you X salary at the end of your MBA. You've come to study because you want to pass out as a very refined version of yourself, which you were not when you joined this institute. Yeah. When I passed out of my MBA, I was jobless for 9 months, to let you all know. I didn't have a job for 9 months because our college didn't have a placement program. Yeah. And it so happened that, during my convocation, pretty much everybody had a job. And I went for my convocation, which happened in November, and I passed out in April. So I got my first job in actually January of the next year. So 9 months, jobless. And I thought I was like a great genius, the world is waiting for me after MBA. Everybody is just going to hire me, right? And I thought, how come? And I would go for interviews and people would ask me, what would you like to do? And obviously the economy was not doing that great as well. We had the dot-com bust in that year. But having said that, during that entire 9 months, I had that belief that I'm still the best for any company who would hire me. They will be benefiting because I'm going to join them. Right? And that self-belief is so very important. And that self-belief just doesn't come because I believe that I'm great. You have to work on that self-belief. And that work on the self-belief, I was how much of if any interview I would go for, never that I walked out of the interview without answering any questions during that time. The market was not great. Obviously, it was getting jobs. Plus, nobody had heard of my college that time. My college didn't have a brand and recognition and all of that happened. So my advice to you is, you will not get self-belief unless you excel in academics, unless you excel in your projects, unless you excel in your presentations, unless you excel in your extracurricular activities. So any opportunities you get where you have to work in a team, where you have to work in a project, where you have to think differently, any opportunities where you have to come and make a presentation, yeah? What would you do? You have to seize those opportunities and make the most of those opportunities, because these opportunities are what will define you 2 years down the line. If you're like, I'm going to chill, these 2 years I'm enjoying, लॉयड्स की ब्रांड बहुत अच्छी है, मेरे को तो जॉब मिल जाएगी, हाँ? मैं तो MBA कर रही हूँ, I'm paying how much ever fees, and you know I've been promised that I will get a job. No, it doesn't work like that. Maybe it will help you get a job, but then that job is not going to help you go further in your life. Yeah. So I think that's one of the big takeaways that I would want all of you to take from this, is that make these 2 years count. Yeah. Let me ask you another question. Sorry. This is whenever I get a chance to talk to students, I ask this question, and it's very important for all of you to know. What's the difference between effectiveness and efficiency?
Effectiveness refers to the ability of making an impact in the work, and efficiency refers to making your on time work.
Making on time work. Very good. Yeah. Somewhat. Absolutely, you're right. You're thinking in the right direction. Anyone else? It's a good answer. What's your name? Huh? Anuttar. Good, Anuttar. Anybody else? What's the difference between effectiveness and efficiency? Yeah? If you say she is very efficient in her work, or you say she is effective in her work, what's the difference between the two?
She has created impact as in for effectiveness, and in efficiency we say that she is very precise in this, that section.
Okay. So let me answer this question for you. In life, I think if you, let's say, where do you come from? Where are you from? Are you from Noida? Are you from Delhi? Where are you from?
I'm from
Kashmir. Oh, nice. Okay. So if you have to go to Kashmir from here, how quickly can you reach Kashmir? If you were, like, if you choose to go to Kashmir, how quickly can you reach Kashmir?
If by flight, we can go, like, it will take around 1 hour or something.
1 hour.
But if we take the road, so it will not be like easy. First we have to take
Fastest way to go by road, how much time will it take?
fastest way, I think train, then something like a bus or something, because I don't think.
How much time? Fastest.
Probably
Or give me a range by road.
So I don't know, 15 to like 20.
15 to 20 hours?
15 hours, yeah.
So somebody completes that journey in 13 hours, what would you say?
That is efficient.
Efficient, right? So I think the answer to that is, being efficient means the fastest way to get there, or the most accurate way to get there. But is it the most effective way to get there? No. What's the most effective way to get to Kashmir? Is to like take a flight to go to Kashmir. So I think in life as well, a lot of us focus on becoming efficient at what we do. And I'm not saying being efficient is not important. Being efficient is important. But the first thing which comes is being effective in life. Choosing the right things is more important first than doing the things right. Effectiveness is doing the right things in the right way. Efficiency is doing things in the right way, doing things right. For example, if I'm running, I can do that sprint from here, a 10-kilometer sprint, in half an hour, 60 minutes, and if I'm continuously trying to reduce the time, that's efficiency. Right? So while you are studying, the most important part in life becomes is then, first it comes down to being effective. And I'm talking about this concept because we are a process company, and we are also a company which helps people design the right digital solution for them. Yeah. So one way is I can innovate a process which becomes where we're saying this process is the best way. Like I've designed a process where work can happen at the click of a button. Right? I brought the time to create a presentation from 1 full week to now 1 hour. And people were like, wow, this is the most efficient way to do this process. But is the way I've designed end up getting a great job. You might end up earning a great salary for yourself. But have you made the right choice to decide a career which is the best career for you? Have you made the effective choice to choose that right career? What would be the right choice to make the right career choice? Will be an assessment of what your own strengths are. If I know that I have to get from X to Y, which is from say Delhi to Kashmir, and I've made a choice that I'm going to take a flight, yeah, but for some person maybe taking a flight is not the right choice. Maybe for some person taking a road trip, enjoying the scenic views in life are more important than getting to that place faster than what you want to do, right? So I think for everybody, what is the right decision for you is purely a question of what is right for you. And then therefore comes the second point, doing a self-assessment of yourself during your next 2 years there. Yeah? And that self-assessment is, what are my strengths? What are my areas where I'm not good at? Yeah? So use this time, because I think in life you have to be effective and you have to be efficient. You cannot be good at both these decisions unless you know who you are. Yeah? And how do you know what your strengths are? How do you know that? What's the best way to figure out what my strengths are? What's the best way?
By trying different things.
Huh?
By trying different things, we will get to know are we good at that or not.
By trying different things, absolutely. That's one way. Great answer. What else? Huh? Experiences. So you try different things, you know where you're succeeding, where you're not succeeding. Okay, what else?
By trying what you fear.
By trying what you fear. Sometimes you may know that this is something that I'm good at. What else? Huh? Interest. Yeah. So I'll tell you a few things that you all said. Trying different things. My own personal journey in my career. I started my career in the banking domain as a credit risk analyst. Yeah, I actually started off in collections. I first started off doing collections. I would go from door to door asking people for money who had delayed in their payments. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. After MBA, if you're asked to do collections, how many of you would like to do collections, go to houses to collect money? Anyone here interested in doing that? Trust me, it was the best part of my career so far. Best part of my career. I learned so much through that. I learned about people. I learned about putting my ego aside. I learned about why collecting money from people, and also empathizing with customers. Unless you go to their houses, you won't know why they're delaying. And learned about empathy. I learned about how to distinguish a fraudulent customer versus a genuine customer who wants to pay but is going through a tough time. Yeah? So, and I think I'll deviate a little bit. So, my first collection call I've gone to, there's a place in Tamil Nadu called Salem. I don't know if any of you have heard of that place as well. I was told by my boss to go and collect money, and this was a company which was defaulting. And I was supposed to go and speak to the CFO of that company. CFO was not there in the company. 2001, the installment which was due from this company on a monthly basis was around 2.5 CR. Every month they had to pay us 2.5 CR, and they were delaying for almost 3 months. Yeah. And my boss had asked me, the CFO was not in the office. My boss called me and said, I don't care, next day morning at 5 in the morning, go to their house and create a scene outside their house. Go to their house at 5 a.m. in the morning and create a scene outside their house. Yeah. And I'm what, like your age, 21 maybe, 22, just out after my MBA. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm in Tamil Nadu, I don't even understand their language. What do you expect me to do? He said, you take this or you put your resignation in, but you have to create a scene. But in there I learned a lesson that sometimes you have to trigger people's egos to make them give the money. I went and created a scene. In the morning, his neighbors came to know that I did that, and at 12 o'clock, the money comes back. But the lesson was, people have the money, but sometimes they don't. Another collection call with another boss of mine. We went for a collection call. And we went to do collections, and this guy he's a country head. He took me along for this collection call, very large customer. We go, we speak to the CFO. The CFO, my boss was Baba Grover, very senior guy. He talks to him, and this guy is running a large company. He spends 1 hour with this guy. Doesn't talk about anything pertaining to कि आप हमें कब हमारी installment देंगे. The installment was again 2.5 CR or something in that range. कोई question, nothing asked. Just talks about business कैसा चल रहा है, घर में सब कुछ ठीक है, और क्या चल रहा है आपके, और क्या plans हैं, कुछ vacation पे जा रहे हो कि नहीं जा रहे हो. Meeting खत्म होती है. This is on 30th. 31st is month end. We spent 1 hour talking. We walk out. I'm like, Baba, you didn't speak about anything about money. You didn't speak anything about installments. We were here to collect the money. If we don't get the money tomorrow, our delinquency, which is bad debt percentage, will go through the roof. It will not look good for a bank like ours. He says, Kapil, don't worry. Tomorrow morning the money will come. Tomorrow morning the money will come. True to his words, tomorrow morning the money came. He said sometimes business is about relationships. It's not about, I think you have to understand, and while you're working, understanding the people with whom you're working with is so critical. If you don't understand the people that you work with and assess them, a lot of our insights and learning about workplaces to decide when to trigger an ego. If the guy is acting like a person who is avoiding you, running away, versus a guy who's genuinely struggling. So one person had to trigger their ego. The other person, we had to just make sure to tell them that we are here for you. We as a banker are partners. Now, you could argue the first approach is not right, the second approach is better, but sometimes you have to use both these approaches, and it's the judgment and the discretion which matters more. So while you're doing your MBA, learn about how to interact with people. And you will be put in different situations. Yeah. And most important part is, and I think I talk to people about this very often, is that a lot of times during my MBA, I kept thinking I'm not good at public speaking, I'm not as creative and I'm as innovative as what others are, and how can I do better in some of these things. But I knew there are certain parts of myself where I had my strengths. I'm sure here a lot of people are sitting here and they're thinking, I'm not good at these 5 things. When you're starting your MBA, how will I get a job? How will I get there? But change that narrative to start thinking what you are good at. Because in life what we achieve is a lot about what our strengths are. You need to know what your strengths are. You may not be great in communication skills, but you know you are extremely analytical in your thought process. You're very logical. You're good with people. Or maybe you're a hard worker, extremely hardworking person. You get after something, you'll get it done. You're extremely diligent. Right? So if you know what your strengths are, focus on strengths. Talk only about your strengths. And keep building on that strength. Okay, if I'm a subject matter expert in, what are you going to choose? What's your specialization going to be? In what stream? Data analytics. By the end of the year, or by the end of what, 2 years course? By the end of 2 years, there will be no one in the class who will be better than me in data analytics. I may not be the best presenter in data analytics, but if somebody asks me any question in data analytics, I will be the best version of myself. Come what may. Because I'm good in analytics. I think analytically. I will read every white paper that I can get my hands on. By the end of the year, I would have read 50 white papers. I would have read 10 books in data analytics. I would have topped the class. Right? If you start thinking like that, then what you're building in yourself is your strengths. Okay, I may not be the best presenter. I know there could be a seminar where I have to go and make a presentation. Maybe you are, sorry, I'm just assuming you're not. But it's okay, because my strengths will outweigh my developmental needs. Yeah? And if you ask me somebody asks me what are your learnings and experiences in your career, that's my biggest experience. You don't think about your development needs. Think only about your strengths. Because I'll tell you, I've worked with tons of people over the years, and 15 years back, if somebody had a developmental need, and these people are very successful, they still have a developmental need. Right? But the people who are really successful, they've learned to hide their developmental needs through their strengths. So an assessment of your strengths is far more important than anything else. I know I've spoken about this for a really long time, so I'll move to the next thing. So somebody asked me, there was a question, right? Financially, how am I managing my startup, or what was the question? Sorry, somebody asked me that question. Or how did I decide to, there was some question on the financial strategy for my,
How do you manage your finances?
how do I manage my finances, right? So when I passed out of my MBA, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I think I didn't have any inheritance, or I didn't have any, somebody told me, go beta, start your business, you got tons of money, I'm going to sponsor your money. So I had to work hard to reach a point where I could take this decision of starting my own firm. Yeah. And obviously I had to also ensure that there is financial security to keep me going for the next 3 years. But it only becomes harder because if you reach a point in life, say for example, in my 40s, I had reached a point where I have a certain lifestyle. I'm spending X amount of money. And then the biggest change which I've had to do is how do I cut my lifestyle from operating at this to now coming down to this. But at least I know one thing, that I have financial security for the next 3 years. Could I have started my business in my 30s? Absolutely. Could I have started in my 20s? Absolutely. And maybe I think the right age, as per me, there's no right age to start your own venture. Anyone knows the founder of McDonald's? What age did he start this? He was 52. Or maybe I think more than that. When he started his venture. He was in his 50s. So there is this movie you should absolutely watch. It's called Founder. The Founder. It's about the McDonald's story. I think it's a great movie. You should watch it. So I think 3 things I did. I knew I should have enough money to take care of me for 3 years. I knew that if I'm going down this path, I'm not thinking of a plan B. Because a lot of times what founders do is they'll set up a company and say, if I start my own venture, I know that I have a job waiting for me. For me, the thought is not there in my head. It's like, no, this is it. You have to make it happen. Because the moment you start thinking, oh, I have another job waiting for me, companies are willing to hire me, and they will hire me, I know that, I have that self-confidence. But I'm not thinking about it. Because it's easy to think, then you're not giving your 200% in what you're trying to do. So clarity of thought in terms of what you want to do is so very important, and having that immense belief that you will get there. The third part, which is important, is you have to have a very solid support ecosystem to back you up in this journey. So it's not just your journey. In my last 1 year, it's not like every day is a high. It's the way they show it in movies like Founder. Most founders, it's a very frustrating, highly, 9 out of the 10 days, you're dealing with failure. Especially in the early days. And I think it's about, do you have a support ecosystem to take you through those days? Yeah. So you need to have, you need to have a solid network of people who will back you up to make this happen. And I'm actually very fortunate that over the years, at least at Genpact, what I've built or working with others, I've built a great solid support ecosystem. So the people that I think Vandana spoke about it in her kickoff, that Vandana gave me a call to do this session. Yeah. The reason I agreed was obviously Vandana is calling me, so I have to do it. But during the heart of the pandemic, I needed a vaccination, and that I think it was very hard to get vaccination. Vandana arranged for me to get a vaccination. Yeah, she went out of her way. She's super busy. She's super senior. She's one of the big leaders in this university. But just to make that, and we've not like spoken or met in many years, but she made it happen, right? So I think it's like you, if you're there to help people, people will help you. Today, and I think I'm extremely fortunate that I have a solid network of not just people with whom I've worked, but people with whom I've studied as well. 20 years down the line, a lot of you sitting here will be leaders in organizations. I have no doubt about it. Some of you will be vice presidents, some of you will be AVPs. Are you going to build deep connects and bonds with each other? And then can you leverage that network when you really need it in your life? Yeah? And building those bonds are through acts and gestures which you do for each other. Are you a good team player? If there is a group assignment happening, are you the one who's just trying to get the limelight? Or are you the one who's helping everybody else? And these values that you instill in you at this stage, will come in handy, because when you step into the corporate world, are you that team player who is there for everybody, or are you the selfish team player who just wants to get the top rating? So yes, you should be hungry and you should be for the top rating, but you should, yeah. So I didn't have any inheritances, I had no connections, no backups. That's what all of you are thinking right now. Correct? I don't have any inheritance, I don't have any connections, I don't have any backups. But you can build it up. You can build it up. That's the beauty of it. Yeah? You can build it up. Yeah? And how do you build it up? That's a game plan that all of you need to have for yourself. Anyone has this thought right now? How many people here have this thought right now? Who's starting out? I don't have any connections, I don't have any backups, I don't have any inheritance, how will I make it big in life? Yeah? Okay, this is another question that I think, another learning that I've had is, how many of you believe hard work is more important or smart work is more important? Smart work? Both? Okay, but smart work was like, so many of you believe smart work is more important. Okay, let me bring the bad news to you. There's nothing like smart work. That's the bad news, sorry. And I actually get this response whenever I've spoken to people of your